Welcome to Brightly, You Radiant Being, the show that wildly recognizes, encourages, and invests in the radiance we all carry so you can shine your brightest. Each episode, we share soul driven advice and topics to help you live more brightly in mind, body, and spirit. Through sharing our experiences, friendship, and passions, we hope to impact you to step more brightly into yourself, inch by inch.
Yay. Hello, Tracy.
Hi, Amy. How are you?
I am well. Had a good day. I saw my middle son today. He took me to the coolest bookstore ever. It
Ooh,
was
because
like
the
a
middles are the best children.
oh
I mean, my mom
well.
can support that in the comments, but the middles are where it's at.
No, I can't say that. I can't say that. I'm
He's your
not going to say
favorite
that.
middle son. I mean,
Exactly.
exactly.
So went to the cool bookstore, got some cool things. It was very cool. How about you?
I am still vibing from the solstice. So I know
Yeah.
this will post. There will have been a full moon episode since then, and we're a couple weeks. But we recorded those on the same day. Spoiler alert.
Yeah, we did.
And so, although I've seen you a lot since then in person, yay, I'm still kind of feeling the vibe of solstice. How about you?
Yeah, I feel like it was pretty darn magical. And you added to that magic, right? Because we got together. We were a little bit early, but it didn't matter. Nobody cared. Fairies didn't care. Like we had a fire.
It's a 3 day
We had
span.
exactly. We had a fire. We had food. We had fairy gifts. We had sparklers. We had music. Like it was high vibing, right? And
Amazing.
yeah, it was amazing. And we did not like we did intentions, and so it was super cool. I think it's super cool that you're still vibing.
Well, it's funny you bring up intentions because
Yeah.
while we danced around the fire, if I may share what you shared, you said you were kind of struggling with something that I struggled with too. And I
Yeah.
totally toxic positivity you with like the magic of the universe at the time. And I still stand by those statements. I still stand by them, but I didn't affirm it in the moment, but I want to validate. I did totally tell you, like, it's okay, Amy. Let's just keep vibing. Like, so you had said like something along the lines of like, how do I know if I picked the right intention, right? Like, how do I know if my intention is the intention? How do I know it's the right intention? How do I pick from my many intentions?
Yeah.
And so I have those thoughts all the time too. But when on the actual morning of the solstice, when I was like preparing for my walk and my little, there's a magical space in a public park near me that's kind of hidden where I like to do my solstice celebrations now. When I was I kept thinking of that the next morning, and I was wondering, like, are those thoughts actually just showing me where I am blocking myself from achieving my goals and manifesting or just receiving my wildest dreams, right? Like, why am I questioning if
Yeah.
these are my intentions or if they're the
Right.
right intentions? Because maybe
Right.
they are. And how I positivity you out of those thoughts was just like, if it's meant for you, it'll happen. Like,
Yeah.
um, but at the same time, like, it's hard not to wonder, like, am I picking the right things? Which it's the
Well,
universe. Why are we limiting ourselves?
why are we limiting ourselves? Like, why aren't we just like every day a million intentions? But two, I think it has a lot to do with personality. And I think if you're a person who very easily can see many paths,
Oh, sure.
um, that sometimes it is hard to be like, but what if I didn't choose the right path? And the funny thing is right now, very clearly, I'm hearing a conversation my mother and I had when I was 14. And she said, I just don't know if it's the right decision to me. And me, as a 14-year-old, I don't know, beginner's brain or something, I was like, whatever decision you choose is the right decision. Like that because that's the decision you chose. So, and now as a 62-year-old, suddenly I'm like, but is it,
And see, that, that
So
just makes me think of alternate universes. And like, I really hope Tracy, who made different decisions, is enjoying that life right now, right?
yeah.
Like, I was really jealous of the one that got to live in a different election result era than I did for 4 years, and was just wondering what that life was like. But now I'm realigned with the one that I'm
Hey,
happy to be in, right? Like,
I'm totally in there with you on this. There are other timelines. I'm
oh yeah.
positive,
Oh,
but
that's
I
I just got a
also
book on
know,
quantum mechanics, so hold tight,
yes,
people. This might come up. My very
yes.
uninformed mouth will share everything that I learned from it.
I love it. I love it. But I think that, and especially for this show, like you got to make a decision before you can. You don't go into, if you don't decide on a thing, on a menu item, you're not eating,
Ooh,
right?
what a practical, is that
You're not eating.
analogy, metaphor? I don't, I,
Yeah. Hopefully, yeah.
SATs, but like, wow, that really like paints a picture. Because for me in that moment when we were, I think it was before the fire even, I just shared like, I'm worried to set certain intentions because I don't want to do the work. Like I know
Right.
like whether one comes true, they all come true, whatever these goals, intentions are, it's a new life. And that's going to take a new routine and new work and new thought processes and a kind of developing a new me, which is the me I want to be. But the me
Yeah.
right now is tired.
Well, and you know what? I hear you. And I think that that's another such a good point, because people, no matter what they say, actually don't like change, because change creates work for you.
Yeah, what
Your
do they
neural
say?
pathways, new ways of going about your day, whatever. But I love that you said, I'm not sure if I want it, because then I'll have to work
I
for
have
it.
to
I
work.
just love it.
Yeah, I think the saying I always go back to is we love the change we implement ourselves.
Yes.
But even that quote, like I love to say it all the time just to refer to like, well, of course, when an office or a boss or a company changes something, of course people aren't going to like it because they didn't pick it. But then
Mhm.
as I was thinking about it, I was like, today Tracy really makes some choices that tomorrow Tracy has to live up to. And so I didn't like that change either. Like, it's just that constant cycle.
I don't like today's Tracy's change.
Yeah, yeah. Yesterday Tracy was a real bitch. Like, what did you do? And now today Tracy just feels like she's gonna fail. But I have not opened future Tracy or tomorrow Tracy. I haven't opened her to receive, right? Like, if I'm in that mindset of what did I
Oh,
do, or is this right for me?
yeah.
How can tomorrow Tracy possibly live in the world we want?
So you need to, as today, Tracy,
Mhm.
start preparing yourself to be open so that tomorrow, Tracy, future Tracy, can actually
I think
receive.
today, Tracy, the way to prepare to be open is to believe it's already happened. Not
Yeah.
even to believe it can happen, but it's already how it is, instead of, oh
Mhm.
no, and what if, and what did I do? And I don't really want this. Really, I do, but I don't want the work with it. Uh, so
So do you have to set those aside? Do you just have
Mhm.
to be like, nope, you're going over there. I believe it's so. It's already happened. I'm so grateful for this thing. Like, what do you do?
Well, so So, as with most things I talk about on the show, I'm not there yet, but I've done the research, or I've come up with ideas, or I've been
Yeah.
thinking about how to get there, right? So a lot of the stuff that we talk about is the stuff we're actively doing. So as I was prepping
Amen.
this show about, being open to receiving, it just hit me, it's a skill and a muscle. It's not like a preordained whether or not you have it, right? And so
Mhm.
this skills have to be developed, muscles have to be continuously worked out, and you have to
Yeah.
change up what you do, or like you won't see the change, right? Like you get used to it. And being open to receiving is actually kind of a gift, right? Like if you can do it without thinking about it, great. I'm
Do, do you think that as kids, and I'm not saying every kid, because lots of people, had a crappy childhood, but do you think as kids we were way more open to receiving? Like we just assumed, like, yeah, I'm going to get the best present ever, or this is going to happen, or this great thing is going to happen.
I've known some kids that are worry warts and who are the
Okay.
natural Debbie Downers, negative Neds, all that. And so I don't know. I think
Okay.
sometimes our self-critic is just like part of our personality and how we respond to the world. I think part
Yeah.
of it is learned based on our experiences with
Mhm.
others. Like I've heard people say sometimes your self-critic isn't you, it's the most negative version of the parental figures in your life, what they've
Mhm.
said to you, whether it was consistent or they were just having a bad day too, right?
Yeah.
The people who, are like, money doesn't grow on trees, life
Yeah.
doesn't happen to you, good things don't happen to us, who do you think you are, kind of a mindset. I think kids, I don't feel like we're born with that. I really don't. I
Okay.
think we develop that by by living in a world where we start creating expectations and then getting disappointed when they don't happen how we
Mhm.
envisioned it,
Mhm.
versus having expectations in a way to get excited about something, but not limiting yourself to a timeline or just that,
And I
right?
think not limiting, not attaching to an outcome
Yeah.
necessarily.
So a lot of my intentions, like all my new moon intention journals
Yeah.
and a lot of my meditations and stuff, I always start with I am open to receive these things or something better. And recently I had to acknowledge during the manifestation one, that the something better piece, I was already presuming what I wanted was the something better. Like I was just tacking that on because that's what my spiritual leaders
Oh.
and influencers have showed me. I was really holding on to the I want these things. I want these. I'm a Virgo. I've thought this through. I've done the research. And then as part of like that releasing prep for the full moon that we did, like, and some interactions that I had with some people that were part of my like, I want to receive this. It was just like, oh, universe, you're right. That isn't my something better, right? Like at one point in time it would have been
Oh.
enough, but like right
Mhm.
now, no. And I've been holding on to it. I've been rewriting it. I've been re-saying it. And I've been blocking myself from something better.
Ooh.
The universe may have been putting something better in my face and I just wasn't looking for it, right? Like I was
Okay.
looking for what I wanted to see, the signs I wanted to
Yeah.
see.
So did you let go of that at the full moon?
I mean, who knows what I'll be talking about in 2 months, but I feel like I did. I'm gonna
Okay.
say I did.
Yeah.
It might come back.
Yeah. Well, honestly, it's not, nothing is ever a one and done, right?
Yeah.
It's a constant work. And like you said, it's a muscle. Well, you don't just work out your muscle once a day and then you're like, well, I'm done with that muscle, never have to move that arm again. Um, it's, you have to keep developing your muscles. You have to keep moving. You have to keep learning and redoing things because honestly, we didn't get to this point by somebody saying something to us once and then us feeling really bad about that one thing one time. So, of course, we have to do these things over and over again. And that's okay. It's the journey, right? How many
Yeah.
cliches can I
So
say? I don't know.
when it comes to being open, I kind of picture it as a lot of things as being within the physical, mental, and spiritual worlds, right?
Yeah, yeah.
So in a physical perspective, is your posture, is your body, is your face open, right?
Yeah.
Because a
Or
lot
are
of
you
what
like, ugh?
yes, are you closed off? And then also your body affects your mind, which affects your spirit, right? So if you're always
Mhm.
tense, if you're always clenched, if you're always acting like you're distrustful or shut off from the world, your mind's going to have similar thoughts and then your spirit's going to be like, yeah, we don't want change, we don't want new, we're, in self-protect mode, right? We're in defense
Yeah.
mode. And a lot of receiving comes from other people, right? Like even the stuff from the universe, other people are involved.
Right. Right.
And so I had a friend, a great friend, and she was she was so approachable. That's why we became friends. So I would call her open in that manner, that like anybody could approach her and feel comfortable, and she was comforting and giving. But she shared with me that somebody else bumped into her, ran into her, and then after conversation, it was just like said something about how closed off she was. And so she came to me and asked me if that's how I saw her. And I said, because she's like, I'm an open book. And I was like, oh, no, 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 no. I was like, you are there for other people. I sometimes feel like I know nothing about you and your backstory.
Oh,
I know exactly this personification that you want to put out in the world, and I love it, and she's lovely. But you personally, I can see why he thought that. And granted, like it was like, and we're work friends, right? And so it makes sense for us to have that boundary. But I definitely feel like you carry that boundary, and it was really eye-opening for her because she thought she was an open book. And I was like, no, you are warm and you are loving and you are giving and approachable.
mhm.
You do not share you,
That sounds like something that was built over time. That sounds like safety, a boundary, a
right?
barrier. But
Or
that's so
even
interesting.
it happened unintentionally because she was so focused on developing what she thought openness was.
Right.
That because I didn't see her as a defensive or a closed off person, but
Yeah.
I also know, when we're Minnesota nice, like I'm not going to cross that boundary. I'm going to wait. And most people are similar to that out here in my experience.
Hmm.
Um, but
Yeah.
yeah, what were you going to say?
I was just going to say sometimes I've been known, typically I won't cross that boundary, but every once in a while I'm just like, hey, you want to be my friend? Like literally at the 9-year-old girl, with
Oh my God.
a missing tooth and just happiness exuding from her snarly hair.
I
So
love that. Well, you've worked with me. I will just walk up to somebody and be like, hi, friend.
yes,
That's how we
yes,
open and start that relationship.
yes, exactly.
And I find out real quick if it's reciprocal or not, but in some ways I do have kind of like that childlike wonder, naivety, and in approaching that. But I'm a storyteller in how I communicate, and if I feel like the story is going to be helpful or illustrate something about me or a fact or
Yeah,
clear something up, I don't have that boundary. And so on the flip side of my friend, like career wise, sometimes that hurts, right? That hurts me because I'm not seen as professional, um, to be that open in that way.
yeah.
But
I have a problem with that, but I
agreed.
can see where it
Yeah.
could with like a certain group of people in professional areas would think that it's not professional, but
But
I
I
don't agree
also
with it.
know I have to get a vibe off people first before I get there.
Yeah.
So it kind of bites me in the butt sometimes because by the time I'm ready to be open, they've already decided like, oh, I don't really like her. Like I don't vibe with her. She doesn't really share anything. I don't really know what we have in common. Like I have to have a certain level of trust to be that open. Because if I wait too
Yeah.
long, you stay in the acquaintance phase, right? Like you, instead of building good, healthy boundaries, you put a fence up, right? Like,
Yeah, that's a tricky one though, because you do need to kind of wait a little bit to see if you can trust them.
right.
But yeah, that seems tricky to
Yeah.
me.
So like we were saying, this isn't easy to do.
No.
Um,
I can remember especially when my grown children were little, my mom would always say, it's okay to ask for help, or, it's okay to accept help. So I used to be very much like I always think of myself as open to receiving. But if people try to help me with something, I just, I, I have a problem with that. And I don't know what it is. And even after my mom said that when my kids were little, like, kid in like physically, even physically helping, like kid in this arm, kid in that arm, diaper bag, this, that. No, I've got it. I don't need help.
oh my God. One of my friends moved to Portland. So she's alone in the world out there. Like
Yeah.
everybody she knew, she hadn't established friends yet. And she's at a gas station and her hands are full. She's walking to the convenience store to her car and somebody offers her help or something, this guy. And she goes, thanks, I live my life daily. And then like, she just like internally cringed. Like, what is that? Like, seriously, like he probably wasn't flirting. He probably was just being
No.
nice.
Yeah.
Who knows where she was mentally, but she's like,
Yeah.
where did that come from? And I was like, Sarah, you don't accept help. Like you
Yeah.
You
So
don't
Sarah,
ask for help, you don't accept
Sarah,
it,
I'm
like,
there with you 100%. I like to think I now will accept help, but I know there's still something inside of me that wants to pop up and be like, you don't need any help. That will show
ooh.
weakness. Like something inside of me. And I don't know where that came from, but I gotta be like, that'll do, pig. That'll do. Right. Just
See, and I developed like this, like, you you have to do it. You can do it alone. Like, don't bother other people. Like, show that you can do it, show that you're successful. So it's not that I don't want help. I just, somewhere in my, tiny developing brain, I just developed like, you have to do this. Like, other people do it for themselves. You have, like, this is a requirement
so
of life to be able to do it.
wow, you built this whole story around it.
I
But if
guess.
people offer you help, will you be like, sure, thanks?
So I don't know that I really get offers of help often because I do come off as so capable and
Oh,
calm.
yeah,
But I
yeah.
will say, I talk about these guys all the time, but these two great guys live next to me. And anytime I've asked for help from them, they've enthusiastically said yes. One of them
Mhm.
I texted and I was just like, hey, I'm moving some furniture around and I need to get a couple pieces upstairs that are bigger than I thought. Heads up, full disclosure, one's a mattress. Like, just like, and if you
You're
can't
so
help,
funny.
like, it's just three things. Two are real easy, but the mattress, that's asking a lot. So I understand if you're busy, if you want to say no, I can wait until my family's in town. I'll sleep on the living room floor. I didn't include that part, but it was just like, I asked him for help and I said what it was. And he's like, yeah, I'll be right there. And he came over and the furniture was upstairs in minutes. And then we sat and chatted for a bit. And then he went back to his life. And like,
But I'm wondering if it's easier because you didn't have a whole story built around yourself with them because they're newer,
nope,
you
had
know.
that story still. And I didn't feel like I
Okay.
knew him. So it felt really awkward asking. And then I say this all the time, like, what are two grown men going to ask of me? Right? Like, what hard skills in life am I going to offer them? They're not going to ask me to move furniture. There are two of them. And maybe there is something I wasn't thinking of, but I wanted to be able to reciprocate. Like, I don't always want to be asking.
Okay. Yeah. So you do want to reciprocate, but here's the thing. It doesn't have to be a give and take. It doesn't actually always have to be a give
Yes.
and take.
And that's what my relationship with them, just as neighbors, has shown me. And
Okay.
it's been transformative,
I
Amy. Like,
love
just
it.
to have them be willing to offer help, not act like it's a big deal, not
Mhm.
not feel like there's this underlying favor hanging in the air. Because
Yeah.
I do know some people where I know if I were to ask for help, I now feel like I owe them,
Mm.
right? Like,
Mhm.
that a favor's coming. Not
Yeah.
that I
Yeah.
want to reciprocate, but like, man, do they have a tally book? And so, yeah. And then also, one thing I have to get better at is I'm a gift giver. I love to bake things for people. I
Yes,
love
you
that
are.
aggressive friendship. It's so awkward to get a gift as an adult.
Ah,
Like, in addition to accepting help, can you accept a gift? Can you, Amy?
I think I actually have gotten better at that. So I think I can accept a gift simply because I feel like, well, you give me many gifts and I love them. And so I feel like I've just become better at it. I went I went on a walk the other day with my oldest, with my daughter and her partner and my granddaughter, and she just randomly had a gift for me for no reason. And I actually accepted it and loved it and told her that and didn't act all weird like you shouldn't have done this. So I
Oh,
think I'm
here's
better at that.
for to be open and open to receiving.
Yeah.
There is never a reason for a gift, right? Like, I read something recently that if there's a reason, it's no longer a gift.
Oh,
So if you're expecting a birthday gift, it's no longer a gift.
it's
They're
a
fulfilling
debt.
they're fulfilling
Yeah.
an expectation. And so, like, a gift is meant to be, I love you, here you go,
Yes.
or like, I thought of you, here you go. And
Yeah.
like, that's what I've begun telling myself is like, it's somebody thinking of me and that feels good. So, right?
Yeah.
Like,
Do
so
you
if
think sometimes too, sorry, do you think, sorry, look at me. I'm like, sorry, but I'm going to continue. Um, I wonder if sometimes it's almost as if you can feel the attitude of the giver. So I'm not sure. And another thing that just keeps coming up in my brain, my best friend in junior high school and high school and adulthood and whatever, who I lived with for a while in high school, her father at his funeral, one of the things that they said about Chuck was, and it's from the Bible, it's the Lord loves a cheerful giver. And that was the like epitome of Chuck, a cheerful giver. So when you are faced, I feel like when you're faced with a cheerful giver, you better effing be cheerful back, right?
Mhm.
Like there, like I just feel like that attitude, if you are a cheerful giver, people are going to accept it cheerfully.
Yeah. Well, because part of the gift is the attitude, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. And then there's so many ways to give a gift, right? And so being open to receiving things that aren't material. So I just remember I
Oh,
attended a wedding once, and the best man in their speech described the couple as two of the most generous people they had ever known. And I was like, no, like they're not bad people, but my picture of generosity was like at the time was like giving gifts, material goods, money,
yeah.
just being, and they were very budget conscious, fiscally responsible, goal oriented people who took care of themselves. Well, flash forward 2 years, and I was really like, I love these people. I loved them at the time. Like, it was not a dig at them. I was just like, how he said it, like, impacted me. And I was like, I have never thought of them that way. Like, what am I missing out on from them? Like, how am I not experiencing that
Oh,
kind of generosity? Right. So it
yeah.
wasn't like I was like, no, they're not. I was just like, what? Like, that's new to me.
Yeah.
So then a couple years later, when I bought my house, I was on a very short timeline between when my rental lease in my apartment was up and when my house was available. And I wanted to paint my main floor before furniture was in there because everything was just going to be in the main floor while I unpacked and figured out the space. And I didn't want to have to paint around it. And I had a painting party set up, and all my family, people I have painted for, and my friends. And slowly, one by one throughout the week, everybody had to cancel for really valid reasons. And so I was talking to one half of this couple about like, nope, I'm just going to pull an all nighter. I'm just going to do it. I'm just going to focus on, like this room first, then this room. If I get to these two, great. But like, I'm just going to figure it out because I just have to. What else am I going to do? Right. But meanwhile, I'm still packing. I still have the closing coming up. I'm still working full time and all this stuff is happening. And 45 minutes later, her husband and his father show up
Oh,
and they
for
painted
heaven's
my house
sakes.
for me.
Oh,
They
how
had both
lovely.
just painted their homes, like their entirety, all the floors of their home, and they're very precise. He's also a Virgo, so he was a very precise. He knew all the best tips and tricks. They had all the best equipment. But they came and were here well into the evening hours. They painted my living room, a hallway, and my kitchen for me and didn't ask for anything in return, and I didn't feel indebted to them at all or whatever. And in that moment I was like, oh, this is how he's generous.
Yes.
Like I wouldn't have even thought to ask. Like I wasn't complaining to her. I was just like, yeah, like, oh man, it sucks. Like I know you guys were busy and that's why you can attend. But I guess what he told her when he heard that was just, Tracy helps everybody. Like he was just so disappointed that people
Oh,
weren't able to help me. And he
yeah.
just like, he showed, I'm tearing up just thinking about it. And then I had helped a lot during their wedding and gotten to know his parents really well.
Hmm.
Um, and it turned out, yeah. So it was just, it was amazing. And one of the sweetest gifts I have ever received in my life with absolutely no monetary value. And they probably don't even think about it. But it had a huge impact on my life and how I view people and how
Yeah.
hell I should have asked for help. Like I knew they had just painted everything. Like, but it's just amazing just to see them pull up and get out with all their painting gear. And it was like, what in the world is going on? Like I fully anticipated doing this alone. So it was pretty amazing. But yeah, so people, right? Like, so whether you're trying to find a new career that's networking, whether you're trying to find love or friendship or just even new opportunities. So one of my friends, I don't remember how it came up, but one of our sayings is open, 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 love, 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 open it, open it, open, love, love, love. She's way more soulful than I and much better voice, but
I
like
love
that's
it.
just kind of like my chant now when I feel like my heart chakra closed off, or when I feel like I'm not being a blessing to everyone I meet, right? Like it's just open and open, open, love, love, love. Like you have to consciously open your heart and yourself to others. You have to love everyone. It's really hard.
It's
With boundaries is hard. It's gonna feel like what is it? Unconditional positive regard. So we don't like the behaviors of everybody. There are certainly really bad
mhm,
behaviors in the world, but we love everybody.
mhm. Well, and sometimes it's easier if you just think of them as I love Jen Sincero always says, like, just think of them as like a little baby bunny or a small child, right? But here's this little baby bunny just doing the best they can. So then it's easier to consider like humanity as a bunch of bunnies and loving all of humanity that way, right?
You know, picturing myself as like my inner child or whatever, like at a certain age, and then showing her love,
Hmm.
is a really nice exercise at time. I've never thought about picturing other people. I always wonder with some people, like, what were you like as a child? Like
Were you a child or were
there's
you just
yeah,
manifested on this earth as a
how did
giant?
you grow into this? And so I have wondered what people are like as children, but I like that better than like picture them naked or like picture
Yeah,
them as your favorite whatever. Like I'm gonna start
just
picturing
little
everybody as a
kids.
child. Like we're all
Yeah,
just doing our best, right?
yeah, yeah,
But yeah, so then okay, so that was all about kind of the physical of like your body and how open you are to receiving from others. But like your material world, our feng shui episode talked about that. Does your
yeah,
space allow for new? Is it
yeah.
closed off, right? So if you're looking for love, whether or not you are expecting marriage or cohabitation right away, you should still make your space reflective of whether or not you have space for another person in your life. And then
Yeah.
consequently, your schedule, your routine, and your energy also have to have space for giving and receiving from another person too,
Mhm.
right? You can't be like, I want to be in a relationship and work 90 hours a week, right?
Work
Like,
90 hours a week, sleep on one half of the bed and have laundry piled on the other half
yeah,
of the bed. That
yeah.
that ain't attracting anything.
And the big thing about being open, and so this applies to physical, mental, and spiritual, is to have an open vessel. So don't fill your entire home with things. Have space and cupboards and drawers and closets for either the people or things you want
Mhm.
to bring in, right?
Yeah. My mom once told me to uh clean out my drawer and make space for something good. That's what
Mm.
she said to me. I was having a bad day. Clean out your drawers and make space for something good. So I always think about that because I have a tendency to fill everything. Um, but I realize when I leave space or allow room for something, then there is room for something good or better to come in.
Yeah, when
Yeah.
I bought this house, it's definitely more space than what I needed in the moment.
Hmm.
But what I told people and what I believed was like, I want room to grow. So whether
Yeah.
that's with another person, whether that's having children or just developing new hobbies and interests, like I was so used to having such a small amount of space or even living with other people and feeling like the space I did take wasn't okay to take, right? Like feeling like I
Ooh.
didn't have space.
Yeah.
I wanted to feel expansive. This house has big ceilings, it has more rooms than I need. And then that also allows me to give to others too, right? Like people can come and stay with me if they need
Yeah.
it and things like that. So yeah, so physically, your body and your environment, are
Hmm.
you open? Either does it reflect what you want, right? Like it's kind of like dress for the career you want, not the career you have. Like dress
Right.
your home, yourself, your mind, body, soul, all of it for what it is you want to bring in, right? So yeah, so we've talked a little bit about the mental, but like, how are you filling your mind, right?
Yeah.
Are
Are you
you
filling it with crap
yeah, is it
from?
filled with worry and doubt, self-loathing? Like, scarcity.
Those million thoughts that you have every single day that just kind of loop and loop and they don't go anywhere.
Yeah. So, I mean, the biggest thing is, do you believe you can achieve your goals and dreams? Right? Do you think of it as a pipe dream? Do you think of it as like just a dream? Or is it a goal? Is it something that you're going to work towards or that you actually feel you're worthy of, right? That you're inherently worthy of. Um
That's like that's the big thing, I think. If you're worthy of it, if you feel like you're worthy of it.
uh Yeah, because do you believe it's your birthright? Like that's another way to, if you don't like the word worthiness, like do you believe it's yours? I
Mhm.
not so humble brag. I have been offered every job I've ever interviewed for. I've
Mhm.
not been asked to interview for every job I've applied for. Those have been many. But the biggest thing for me, I go into it believing it's already mine. Like, and it's not egotistical. Like I don't apply for things I don't really want, right? Like I'm not just applying for things just for a job. I go into it fully believing this is already mine. And so when I walk into that interview, it's like, oh, this is my lobby. This is my boss. Doesn't this feel normal, right? Like I'm having a talk. This is just a prerequisite to my first day. Like
Yeah.
gotta get this out
Yeah.
of the way. And it's amazing how that alleviates the nerves. But what it truly does for me is it helps me prepare well, right? Because when you believe you already have it, like I'm now investing the same time, energy, and care into the application and the interview as I would if I had the role.
See, and I think, well, first of all, I agree with you 100% because I've done the opposite of that and it didn't work out well for me. And then I've done that and it worked out brilliantly. But I'm wondering if other people might look at it like, I have this already. I don't need to prepare at all.
Exactly. That's what they, yeah.
Yes, yes. So the key to it is that you still have to do the work,
Yeah, you're
but you
still
do
in the
the
here and
work.
now. You're not in the future
Yes,
yet.
you're in the here and now, but you're doing the work as if you already have it, but so then you are 100% immersed in making sure your application is great, making sure you have questions to ask the interviewers, making sure you've come up with like situations that you can talk about. I think that's brilliant. And I think that we need to do an episode on that in our future life somewhere. You
Well,
do a
it's
career
I
episode.
mean, it's about mindset. And so even if I didn't if they asked something I wasn't prepared to answer, if you're already in that mindset, there's no space for anxiety or worry or did I say this right? Like I left my library interview um the calmest I've ever been. Like
Yeah.
just feeling so assured and just vibing high, but at the same time, knowing in my heart too that rejection is protection, right? That maybe if I'm not offered this job, maybe this is my connection to something else. And now I have a
Yeah.
recommendation or a network or a referral, right?
Yeah.
So my heart wasn't so set on it. So there are parts of my life where I can accept that or something better. Like,
Yeah. But I think too, what I want to talk about too is the fact that you were so prepared for it and it was yours, mentality that you weren't nervous, you weren't stressed. So that when you were asked questions, you're not going through the Rolodex in your brain, right? Going, what? How can I answer that? How
yeah.
can I answer that? When you're confident and secure and feeling it in yourself, your brain works much better and you are going to answer the questions much better than if you didn't believe you already had this.
Yeah, I feel like that mindset when preparing, like it no longer felt like work. The
Yeah.
preparation, right? It felt like everything I was doing was the right thing to do and that I was the most prepared I was ever going to be. That like, oh, because I wrote this out or because I prepared for this, like that's exactly what they're going to ask me. It's kind of like The Secret, like I created I created the questions they asked me. But
Right.
it's also do you prepare for success? So also when it comes to applying for new jobs, I am ready to leave my current job. And that doesn't mean I've checked out, I'm done, I'm over it. It means I have standard operating procedures written. It means I've saved all my personal files and removed them and brought them home. It means everything, my desk is ready for me to leave if I were to put in my notice and have them accepted immediately. That I feel in a good place with my relationships. I don't feel like I'm leaving anything behind, right? So I've prepared to be offered the job mentally, just as much as I've prepared to be like, not at this time. I'm also preparing for like, hell yeah, let's do this.
But
And like,
you're preparing mentally and tangibly,
oh
physically,
yeah,
so that you are 100% prepared. And it's like telling the universe, yep, I know,
yeah.
and I'm
And,
ready. You see
and
how ready I am?
And when I have a choice of starting new projects in my job, when I know I'm looking or actively applying for work, I don't take that on because a big part of my, mental worries is I hate to leave things undone.
Yeah.
Right? There are still things I didn't finish at jobs that I left that nobody knew. Like nobody's judging me, nobody cares. Like they carried on. I doubt they all think of me ever, but it still weighs on me like, "Oh God, you should have done that." And just think like let's say that because you're looking for work, your focus is split, you're probably unhappy or ready for something bigger or more.
Mhm,
It's really easy to procrastinate or not be your best at work. And
mhm.
so that affects your future success when you're also feeling like things are still hanging on to you. So it's about just believing it's already happened. So just like
And
what
honestly, I feel like everything you just talked about could relate to not just work, but life situations, like finding a new house, finding a new career, finding a new friend, finding a new love, finding a new swimsuit, whatever, whatever you want to be open to. I think everything you just talked about, that whole thing, that preparation, I just love that. Thank you for
But
sharing that.
I also feel like when it comes to openness for receiving, I'm real high skilled when it comes to career or
Hmm.
things that I can make happen. Like getting this house was both manifestation and just
I
Tracy
think I
being
know where
real.
this is leading.
I'm not gonna tell that story. Maybe you know where it's leading. And then finances, I'm kind of split between that line where when I really, really do need money, even if it's incurring debt, but like if I need money, find ways to make money, stuff just kind of comes to me. I have a
Yes.
sister who's real good at that. That when she needs something, I mean, not to say that she doesn't hustle or work, but she also, whereas I can manifest career opportunities, she can manifest cash.
I
I
love
keep
it.
getting her to dream bigger because it works for her. I was like, have you purchased your lottery ticket yet? What do you mean you don't buy lottery tickets? They're designed for you. So that's her self-limiting belief, maybe.
Yeah.
But for me, bottom of the line, relationships. And I have
Okay.
so many self-limiting beliefs around love or even knowing what I want that I'm getting in my own way of just having fun, right? Like,
So it almost feels to me, and I'm not sure chicken, egg, that whole thing, but because you have so many successes with finding new careers and interviewing and being offered the job, it feels second nature to you.
oh yeah,
So it feels to
real
me like with,
confident.
right. So with relationships, you have to find something where you actually did manifest whatever, and then you can look at that to say, see, that's a success. And that's what I always go back to, is that
Yeah, and
success.
that's where my what do I want to call it? My self-talk gets to me, right? Is for the relationship piece instead of picturing instead of doing a self review of all my successes and having that abundance ready to draw from, I don't
Hmm.
have that, file folder in my brain. Instead, I have every embarrassing interaction I've ever done in my life. And I don't want to manifest more of that, but you have to feel your feelings. You can't just let it.
But I think that you can feel your feelings and then let it go.
Right. But so like we were talking about like some people might be great in the relational aspect of
Yeah.
things and other people may struggle with the career thing. So
Yeah.
when you look at, I follow what is it? Like the level 10 life, when you look at all those different areas, you got to rate where you are and maybe stop putting so much attention and energy into the stuff you're already good at, right? Like let that go on autopilot. And start investing in the things you're rating a 1 to a 5,
And
right?
maybe the people who are doing really well on these things that where we're not doing really well, they could share their notes. I don't know. Let us read the homework or
Yeah, like
something.
how are you interacting with your resistance? And then other people can say like, "Oh, here's what I would do instead."
So let's talk about resistance a little
Yeah.
bit because I think that most people automatically would say, "What are you talking about? Of course I want this good thing." And yet there is something inside of you that comes up as a form of resistance. And how and why does that happen?
And is it doubt? Is it a scarcity mindset? Is it something somebody else once said to you and you took it as truth?
Right? Is it what you said? Oh, if I actually do this and change, then I'll have to do the work.
Yeah, are you feeling hesitant about actually receiving
So,
it? Yeah.
yeah, I'm wondering though, if you don't know what the resistance is, but you understand that it's there, then what do you do? What do you do to get around it?
You got to go through it, Amy. You can't get
Yeah,
around
that's right.
it. What's that little kid song? Let's go under it. Let's
Yeah,
go over it.
that's right.
No, so if you understand it's there and you've done the shadow work, you've done therapy, you have self-awareness, and or even let's say whether or not you know it's there and like you still can't break through it, right? Sometimes the awareness doesn't do anything for you other than just like, yep, I feel this, thanks. um I'd say you have to work instead of how to break through the resistance, you have to work on what would acceptance look like and then do those things.
Nice.
And then
Okay.
hopefully the resistance eases up, right?
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. So then when we're talking about being open and we're talking about careers and relationships and things like that, um, I think we also have to talk about like, where are we getting these things from, right? Where are these either feelings or ideas or whatever? What else? I mean, we have to talk spiritually.
Oh, yes. Uh especially around what's your relationship with the universe like when you don't get what you wanted, when somebody
Nice.
else gets it when you don't get it,
Yeah.
or when you don't get it when you want it. I want a golden egg daddy and I want it now.
Right. I feel like you already said that with the career thing. Like you're spot on with that whole thing because you're like, that's fine. Even if I'm rejected for this or don't get this, I know it's because there's something better for me in the future.
Yeah, I don't want
So,
you if you don't want me. But with
right.
relationships, what do you mean you don't want me? Now I want you even more until
See,
you
why
want
do
me, and then I won't
we,
want you. And this
yeah,
is not
the
healthy for either of us.
really unhealthy rules around that. What the heck? Thanks a
But
lot.
yeah, but like some people get not angry at themselves, but angry at the world when
Yeah.
things don't go their way, or
Yeah.
especially around expectations or stuff that they feel that they earned, deserved, and worked for. So we were talking earlier, do you feel you deserve it? Well, what happens when you do feel like you deserve it and you don't get it?
Yeah.
And so that's also really hard. And by having, I think part of being open to receiving is also receiving that feedback from the universe of not now, not this thing, not this time, not this place. Something better is there.
Yeah. I mean, I can't remember if you and I just talked about this personally or if we talked about it on the podcast, but I'm going to talk about it again. Um, that sometimes you have to be open to that feedback. So even you think you deserved it and then you didn't get it. Are you open to actually sitting with that and going, okay, this is a different reality than I thought I'd be in. Let's look at this and see what's really going on. But also, is there another maybe human you could talk to? Like, I applied and interviewed for a position I thought I was perfect for. I did not get it because I didn't prepare for it. But I didn't think I needed to prepare for it. But the smartest thing I did was go back to the interviewer and say, would you be open to just having a quick meeting about what happened during the interview and why I didn't get it and what I could do differently next time. So obviously we can't always do that when we're asking, the universe for something. We're like, universe, do you have 15 minutes for us to talk about why I didn't get that and what maybe I could do better the next time?
Universe,
But
show me a fox if I should have gotten it, but this person is wrong.
seriously, show me that fox.
And then you
Anyways,
go to a zoo and you go specifically to the fox den and you're like, thank you, universe.
that is not how it works, Tracy.
Yeah. So,
but are you comfortable enough to sit with yourself and say, what's the reality here? Like, why did I think I deserved it? Could it be possible that this other person is better for the position, or this other person is better to be in the life of this person, or whatever the case may
yeah.
be?
So I want to make an important distinction. Feeling as though you are deserving for the things you want or amazing things to happen to you is different from believing you deserve it. This one thing right here, nobody else is perfect for it, right?
Well, yeah, then you have deeper problems.
Yeah, that's more of a scarcity mindset than that abundant mindset that you need to have,
Yeah,
right?
yeah,
And
yeah.
so I think that can kind of come down to control, right? So are you making it happen versus being prepared for it to happen? Are you visualizing it and accepting like what could be versus forcing it, right? Square peg,
Yeah.
round hole, like I want it, I want it, I want it. Because I think that's the other thing with open to receiving. You can't be needy and you can't be wanting. Like
It's all that all comes from lack then.
right? Like we all have needs, and it's important to recognize those needs and find healthy ways to fulfill those. And we all have wants and desires, and those are natural too. But when you're just in that needy mindset, you're no longer open to receiving your highest and greatest good, right? You're
Right.
too limited. Like I said, my intentions list was like, I want this.
Yeah, I'm going to actually. So not only do you need to be a cheerful giver, you need to be a cheerful receiver.
Mm-hmm.
And a cheerful receiver is not someone who's like, damn straight I got that because I deserved it. Right.
Yeah. That's more about ego
Mm-hmm.
than I was deserving of a good thing to happen to me.
Yeah. Yeah.
So what expectations do you put on the universe? Are you expecting the universe to give you an abundant life and things in line with your highest and greatest good? Or are you expecting the universe to fulfill a wish list that you highly curated and won't deviate from?
No. The first one, please.
But yeah, so with that, what does your spiritual self-care look like, right? Like, so in those times, and this can happen with grief too, when people die or when relationships end.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
I don't want to say it's all about taking accountability for your actions. Like there is a greater world at play and we have free will, but it can also feel like, world, why are you doing this to me? I'm a good person. Why do I hurt? And then, later on in your timeline, you're like, oh, that's why that happened.
Yeah, exactly.
And so like, what can you do now in your relationship with spirit to help those painful moments go by faster? Right? To help you recognize the opportunity within the what do I say, the opportunity within the defeat, or just feeling let down versus the threat. So sometimes when you're looking for a new job and you apply and you interview and you feel good and you feel deserving, it's also because you need to work to live and you need a paycheck. And so that
Right.
rejection can hurt a hell of a lot more than, oh, I currently have a job, but I see this thing that would be perfect for me and I believe is
Really
mine.
good distinction. Yeah.
Right? So,
Yeah.
and sometimes we are in a lack mindset because we are lacking, right? Like we are not, there are disparities in the world. So again, this
Right.
isn't meant to be toxic positivity. This is about opening yourself up, opening up your crown chakra to all the possibilities and abundance and wonder of the world, and figuring out how you can seize the day, right? Like it's not about just like, oh, I believed it and it didn't happen and now I'm a failure at one more thing, right?
Right.
Like you have to see that it's about seeing the opportunity versus the threat. But yeah, so you meditate a lot. Do you have any recommendations for how to open to the spiritual side of this, to whether it's opening your crown chakra or your third eye,
Oh
or
boy. Yeah. I mean, I do. I love it. that makes me so happy to hear someone say that about me. You meditate a lot.
Meditate. You talk about meditation.
No, I do. I do. No, I just meant it makes me happy to hear that because I mean, 5 months ago, I meditated a little bit,
Yeah.
and now I meditate a lot. It's a rare day that I don't meditate. So I think I am in expectation when I meditate. Maybe expectation is the wrong word, but that is why I meditate, to open myself up. And so there are exercises you can do to literally ground yourself, and then at the same time open your crown chakra
Yeah,
to
you
the
don't just want to
universe.
float in the ether.
No, you always want to ground yourself first. So you literally, the easiest thing for me when I think of grounding myself is, first of all, I feel the weight of myself in the physical world. And then I visualize roots coming out of the bottom of my feet, going into the earth, all the way to the center of the earth, and then drawing energy back up through the roots into my body. And then once I'm grounded, I just imagine my crown chakra opening and then allowing just sort of the universe energy, whatever, to flow through. And then I visualize that energy mixing with the earth's energy. And then I end up with this beautiful rose gold energy throughout my entire body.
So
But
what you just described, the connecting point for that, both the midpoint in your body, but then also like your chakras, is your
mhm,
heart. It's where
yes,
heaven and earth align. So
yes,
I do something very similar. And if you're really good with imagery or imagination and visualization, having images in your brain, sometimes that opening of your crown chakra can look like a lotus flower opening. That's a lot of the
yes.
imagery you'll see if you're familiar with chakras. And
Mhm.
then I have a spiritual teacher that she talks about how we all have our own star that was born the same day we did. And I know stars are
Oh, I
actually
love
like,
that.
things, some, they're dying, right? But it's still, we all have our own personal star. And so for me, that's my cosmic energy. Your star can pour directly into you, just like a bright white light. It can flow down through your chakras, following your spine and circle back up.
Mhm.
And then that's just like that energy, that life
Yeah.
flow. I love that you get like that
Mhm.
rose gold. That's amazing. But yeah, just to me, just taking that time to have that beautiful imagery and to picture that energy flowing through me, whether it's hippy
Mhm.
dippy and not really happening or not, is psychosomatic. I don't care, it's working. But I
Right?
feel lighter, right? Like I feel more just like connected. The sum is greater than the whole of its parts, right? So like when we die, we're slightly a little bit lighter than we were. Like, and they say that's like the weight of the soul.
Right.
That leaves their body. And so I feel just a little bit more connected when I do that. And then when I feel more connected and when I feel more grounded, I make better decisions. That worry and doubt is less, and I'm more aligned with what
Mhm.
I want, which leads me to the tarot card. So in true Tracy fashion, I picked up my deck and I did something with it. It wasn't quite a shuffle, but the card that was like, oh hey, like that I turned up. And again, I wasn't like picking a card or doing anything, but the card that turned up was Two of Cups. And it's like, oh hey, I love you. I can't wait to actually get you in a reading for myself someday again. Like I really always hope that you come to play. And then I shuffled and I asked my question and I shuffled and like I flippity flipped them and then I shuffled and then I split the deck 3 times, took the one from the middle, and it was the Two of Cups. And it was like, hey, nice to see you again, friend. Thanks. I have no idea what this has to do with the show because this to me is about romantic love and friendship. But uh,
Oh,
yeah,
I
but
can
so Two of Cups is about two people coming together, holding cups. There's a lion head with wings, kind of like is that like the symbol? No, the doctor's is there's two snakes. It's kind of like the medical symbol, kind of.
Mhm.
But so Biddy Tarot, under the spiritual description of this card, says it's love for all, in alignment with the universe and yourself, recognizing the divine in all beings, honoring the beauty in everyone, that you're in flow with the universe. And the question is, how can I give and receive love?
There you
To me,
go.
That's just, you're just vibing, man. Like that's
Yeah.
how do I open receive? You just vibe. Like,
Well, and you see too the way that they are the way that the two people are facing each other with their cups, it could almost be like, here, like, let me give you this cup, and she could be giving him her cup. So
mhm.
there is a definite like
There's
receiving
enough
and
for
openness.
everybody.
And they are both open. They're fully facing each other. So they're facing each other. They're open to each other. They're open to receiving. I love it. It's actually, it's one of my favorite cards.
It is my favorite card. And in a relationship reading, everybody wants to get the lovers. And I know they are the card. I want this because in my
Mhm.
love, like in my future relationship, this is best friends. This is full trust. This is full partnership. Like, this is what
Mhm.
I would want for a long term thing.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
and so it was just kind of beautiful for like the deck to be like, but that's how you should look at everybody, right? Like,
Yeah.
with that same kind of abundant mindset and just love and giving and receiving. So,
I love it.
yeah. But yeah,
Thank you.
so now over the past few weeks, we've set intentions. We've done our mid-year review with the summer solstice with Letha. We've
Mhm.
released with the full moon, and now we've opened up. And so next week we'll discuss harnessing and growing your own personal power so that you can confidently live in the life you're creating as we get ready to manifest, which will be the
Ooh.
episode after.
Yeah.
So
Looking
stay
forward to
tuned.
that.
Yeah. And if you
Cool.
haven't, go and listen to all the other ones, like in any order, but like the shadow work applies,
Yeah.
goal setting applies, like to open and receive, you got to do the work, right? And if you need help doing the work, we have some thoughts. We had ideas.
We do. Thanks for listening, everyone. And if this episode spoke to your soul, please share it with a friend. And if you have time, give us some love on your preferred platform with a rate, review, and subscribe. You can also reach out to us via Instagram and YouTube under The Brightly Podcast or via email at brightlypodcast@gmail.com.
With that, we hope you have a bright and beautiful day. Thanks for listening.